So I'm sitting here in Amsterdam the night before Borussia Monchengladbach versus Celtic with Christian Visser and Harper for the HomeBhoys podcast. So Christian might need no introduction from some people, but I'll let him introduce yourself. Christian, who are you? Why are you sitting outside a cold bar with two Celtic fans?
Well, I'm a lawyer and I'm specialised in defending football supporters, and since November 2013 I got involved.
3 years ago?
Yes, 3 years ago I got involved in defending the Celtic fans that were treated very badly by the police on the Dam Square, and since then we're still busy with the case.
Is there an update? I mean, how in Britain appeals can go on for years and years, decades in the legal system. Is that the same?
Well, not decades, but years and years. That's something we see in this case as well. So at this point of time, there were 9 cases when we started.
Okay.
3 Celtic fans got acquitted by now.
Yep.
One Celtic fan is still in his first instance.
And has that first? So he's not even his first trial hasn't happened yet.
His trial will be soon in December.
3 years afterwards.
Yes, it's amazing. I don't know why, but it's amazing, and it's a very long time. And then the other from the 6 people that were in the case in the speed trial that was widely covered, one of them got acquitted, and the 5 others, we did the interviews now with a lot of police officers, and that gave really good new insights.
From the police?
Well, for us,
as
defense lawyers, we are working with a team of 4 lawyers now to be a bit stronger. So we will see if we have to hear more witnesses. But
so who would those other witnesses be?
Well, mainly police officers. Right. Because the problem is what they wrote down about the crimes they meant to see, where it was just I was standing on Dam Square. I saw a Celtic fan who threw a can. That was basically it. But now we want to know where were you standing, and
specifics.
To which police? Because there's one example of 2 police officers saying that one Celtic fan beated up a police officer by a certain name. Well, we have footage. I didn't know who this police officer was, and now I know, and I know he's far away from where the actual Celtic fan is.
Yes.
So the more we start to know, combined with the footage, it makes our case stronger.
This sounds like an episode of. Do you get Columbo? So do you spend your evenings watching videos of Celtic fans in Amsterdam 3 years ago?
Well, I have to say it's amazing. There's one piece of footage, and I believe we've all seen that, where the Celtic fans were beating up. But I've watched it so many times, and still I see new things. Because now I know. Because we asked the police officer, okay, are you in there? Which of your colleagues are in this footage? And then we start to follow them.
Dissect it with what you're being told. Yeah.
Yes, and you see, and you can see that they wrote down things they could have never seen.
Right. Yeah.
So this is for me, from somebody sort of outside looking in. This was obviously a massive story for the Celtic fans 3 years ago, and it was a massive story for a couple of months. But like everything else, it sort of pales into the ether. It's really interesting to sort of hear an update on this, and maybe people listening to this there's maybe still people out there with footage on phones and stuff like that. They maybe think it's nothing.
Well, we know that.
But if you get in contact, if you've got anything like that, if you get in contact with HomeBhoys and Twitter, we can certainly pass that on to yourselves.
We've just had a walk, Christian, by it's first. I've been back to Amsterdam. I wasn't there, as you know, I wasn't there that night, but I was in Scotland looking at everything coming in and not quite believing what I was seeing. So I've been in Amsterdam since then, but this is my first football trip, and Harper and I have just walked down to Dam Square, and it was so strange walking down, is it Damstraat?
Yes.
You walk down Damstraat and you see all of these restaurants, and I expected, there's one particular footage I said to Harper where there's a guy who's about 6'8" with a beard is pulling his friend in, he's yanking his friend, and I expected to see all of these scenes because it is all so familiar.
Yes.
And there was so much footage
it's
out there.
It's surreal to walk.
It's really surreal. We went and we looked for the Fenian lamppost, But I think they must have taken all the stickers off it.
Yes,
now.
they did. Yes, they did.
Did they? Did they?
Yes,
They took them all off.
Yes.
Oh,
But it's still, it was. It had its influence, and also I have to say, so I mean, one or two of the police officers were very honest about it, and they said that one of them said, "Now that I look back, I believe that the Celtic fans didn't know we were police." Well,
right.
So that's very good that he was honest, because many of them still said, "Yeah, we were screaming police all the time, and they knew we were police." Well, all the Celtic fans, and they didn't have any interest in saying that because it didn't help their case in particular, said we didn't know we were dealing with the police.
Isn't that a really significant admission, though? Because
Yes.
haven't other fans said that in the past too? Where there have been problems in Amsterdam with what's the name of that group of police? Is it
The Romeos.
The Romeo squad.
Yes.
Haven't other fans said in the past that they didn't know that they were police either?
Yeah, and there have been trouble with these fans. Even if they were police, there were troubles with, for instance, Ajax fans. There are Ajax fans who reported that they said to them, "Come on then, hooligans, come on," stuff like that. So they were really aggressive towards football fans as well.
They seem like state-sponsored hooligans, to be
Yes,
honest.
and they were. One of them said, "Yeah, we do a lot of kickboxing for training and stuff." So, but the problem is, as an individual lawyer, I can't change that. I can just defend the cases I do as best as I can, but I can't change this.
The system.
Yeah, you need the media, and as long as people, as the mayor and stuff, say, "Yeah, we did really well." I mean, after all that happened in Dam Square, the next game was Ajax Barcelona. Mm-hmm. And the head of police says we're going to do it exactly the same as the Celtic game. I mean, then you need help. Yeah.
So was there any pressure to change the policing afterwards, or did the majority of citizens, do you think, support that policing the football fans?
Well, I do believe that because there was so much media coverage, also for the other side of the story, that inside there was, because the police also said when they were interviewed now that they talk a lot about this case. So
right.
I believe, well, maybe they will never tell us, but maybe.
Has there been similar incidents with other teams or fan bases since then to that scale? Or?
No, not on this scale.
No.
And what I always said, and I mean you know that there's no one else, there were no former incidents, huge incidents with Celtic fans. I mean, fans are traveling here, and we all know that in Europe we have all different sorts of fans, and some have a very bad reputation, and Celtic doesn't. And still, it was so bad. So I believe that itself is proof.
I think that's why it was so shocking for a lot of Celtic fans back home seeing the footage, because we are welcomed with open arms everywhere we go. Celtic fans are known for just having a sort of a boisterous party, certainly not for hooliganism. There's no MO there ever.
Yeah. But there's almost a corps d'esprit where it's one for all for one. So if you think someone is the victim of an injustice, your pal's getting a kick in, then you'll go and defend them.
Yes.
Especially as the night before, there had been very close to where we are now, I think. Yes. There had been an attack.
2 canals.
We're 2 canals away from Molly Malone's.
No, it was not Molly Malone. It was a different one.
The Old Sailor.
The Old Sailor. It's around the corner from where we are now. Yes.
That's the one with the famous footage with all the guys in the black piling into the bar.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that happened the night before the attacks.
Yes.
In and around Dam Square.
So was that, because of those attacks the night before, was that a precursor then for the police to be heavy-handed, do you think?
I don't know, because that's something that happened before here, and something like that, an attack from a certain group, so I don't know. I just think the group that went in there, the plainclothes police, they reacted really wrong. Mm-hmm. The moment they got after the guys who stole the flag, that was still sort of okay, but then when it escalated, they really took the wrong decision. If you use violence like that and people don't know you're police, then you can expect trouble.
There was one in the Romeo squad that, I think it was the guy actually that was taken up by the Fenian lamppost. He had a yellow or an orange sort of bubble jacket. I mean, he must be the most famous policeman in
Most
Scotland.
famous policeman in Scotland. He was known amongst a few people involved as Polly Walnuts from The Sopranos, because of his resemblance to Polly Walnuts. And interestingly, again, when you look back, I had a quick look back on some of the files before we come out here, and you forget things like there's footage of a young Celtic fan being kicked in the head, being held and kicked in the head, which was on the news at 10 o'clock, and then it never appeared again.
No.
So do you think, what is the role of the media in Amsterdam and the wider country in covering football? Do you think it's the same as in other European countries?
Well, the last one is hard. I mean, in general, of course.
Did the media try to suppress it? Is that what you're...
Yeah.
Well, in general, I would say that football supporters have a bad name all over, probably in Europe or maybe in the world. So, in general, you really have to explain something when you have a story that the police were brutal against football supporters, and that's what's so interesting on the Dam Square case. But you saw the media turn in the first 2 days. It was over here. It was a lot of. It was on like Celtic fans were misbehaving and all that, and then after
that's the normal story, isn't it?
Yes, and then afterwards, I mean, because we had the footage to prove it, but it's only because this guy had a really good camera and he showed this arrest. Because I'm quite sure it happened many times before, but normally we never have cameras. Mm-hmm. It's not because, like I would say, you could call it a sort of iPhone revolution. Now that people are filming everything, I get so many more stories of supporters that are being hit by police officers, but normally they couldn't do anything because I would say, you can file a complaint, but it's hard to prove. But now with the footage,
What about the royal family that was supposed to be in residence in the? Was that true, or was that something that the police created as an excuse, or was that something the media created to defend the police?
I don't know. I think the last, to be honest. I checked it, but I've never heard anything of it that it could be true. That there was
it went beyond. There was the initial assaults, and then it continued into they sent police horses in. There were people standing in the pubs around Dam Square, and they sent police horses and dogs into people who were literally bystanders. So it went beyond the Romeo squad.
Yes.
Had that been seen before? Was that a normal thing?
No, no. But in no aspect this was a normal case. So, but I think they really lost it, and we have to be honest about the fact that some of them were badly injured, some of the police officers, and then they maybe had that reaction from we have to hit back or something. I don't know, but it was out of order, and it was not a smart thing to do.
So now you say that there were 6 appeals. They could take years. Is there a
5?
5 appeals because one case hasn't been heard. So 5 appeals. Is there any update, or is it all?
No. The last months we've been hearing the witnesses
But you say it's police witnesses, Christian.
Yes.
Is there a role for any other witnesses, or will this stand or fall on what the police say?
This is what we need with the police, because at the end of the day, all the files are police officers saying, "I saw this."
Yeah.
And now they react really, and we can prove it's very hard to prove that something didn't happen. That something yes, that's really hard. But if a police officer says, "I saw this Celtic fan A walking there, and when he threw the can, I directly went to him and I arrested him," and we see this police officer walk into someone else, this literally happened, hit him on the head, and this Celtic fan ran away, and then he went towards I mean, how much trust we should have in what he writes about what happened before.
Right.
And it's hard. It's hard to fight police statements everywhere, and also in Scotland probably.
But it's all about being able to take those police statements apart.
It is interesting you've said that you've had a couple of police officers be more honest about it. Sort of, it's kind of seems like they've broke rank, even. Because normally the police would close shop and stick together.
I have to be honest, I mean, there was one who said he didn't remember anything, and then he said, every day I have see very strong incidents. There was one of the, I don't remember anything. And I referred to what I've written down in November, and the judge said, "But you didn't write anything down about that." But I still refer to what I wrote down. So we've seen that, but we've also seen people who said, "And I think they didn't know it. I think I did some things wrong." So we've seen.
Well, that's quite an admission, and it's not really something we hear in Scotland at all. It's interesting. We're here criticising to an extent the policing of football fans in Holland, but we certainly have our own problems ourselves.
Yes.
Do you read about the police or the offensive behaviour at football in Scotland? Are you aware of that?
Well, I'm on Twitter, so I can see some things, and I see overreacting. And at the end of the day, I think in many countries, let's say in Scotland, in England, in Germany, in Netherlands, it's going quite well with football fans if you compare it to the 80s or the 90s.
Yeah.
But still, the police didn't change their strategy. They still behave in the same way. Well, the fan behavior really changed, and that's something that's everywhere, I believe. Well, not in Poland and stuff. But
we were only speaking about that earlier, about the stuff we watched in Poland and firing rockets and flares at each other. Yeah. It's like they have sort of organised like war zones, even in Poland and Russia and that, and you would expect that level of policing for them.
Yes.
But not for ordinary fans here, like what you're talking about in Netherlands and Germany and Scotland and England. But when you're saying, I'm sitting here listening to this, and you're saying about it's all just police witnesses, doesn't it make me feel really that confident for these appeals? If there's it's like the witnesses are all on one side. And there's nobody for the defence.
We have some witnesses that want to say, okay, I was with this person and I didn't see him throw anything, but it's quite hard because it was a bit of a mess, and people have to be there all the time with that person. How can you, if you're with someone in Dam Square, how can you say for 100%, he didn't do anything, while you were running away yourself? Mm-hmm. So it's.
So are you relying then on the video footage to basically pick holes in the police statement?
Yes, and it worked out before, because there's one example of a Celtic fan and his police officer that was really high in rank. He said, I saw him throwing bikes, and then he got arrested, and since then he's never been hit, and he had a huge wound on his head. And I had footage, and you saw him being arrested and being hit twice. And you didn't see him throw bikes. So then the judge said, we can't have enough trust in that statement.
So that video footage is all admissible in court. You can use that.
And that's what happens. And I believe, for one case, I'm really 100% sure, because one person said he hit that police officer, and I watched the video more than 100 times, and all of a sudden I saw this jacket jumping away. And he wasn't close to where the person was. Mm-hmm. The Celtic fan, and the two police officers still had to enter the scene before he went away. Mm-hmm. So they can't even say it happened before, because at that point of time they weren't there, and they say we saw him hit him and then we arrested him directly, but they weren't there when he was away.
So when that is disproven in court, when the judge says something like that, is that the end of the matter? Because as I said, in Scotland we refer to any number of cases where, let's say, the police evidence has been called unreliable, but that is the end of the case. There is no further action on the police. Is that the same here?
Well, no, you could, and we've been talking about that, and we have to discuss this further with the people in Glasgow. But you could make a statement to the police and ask the court to convict this police officer, and especially with the violence we've seen from the police.
What would that be?
Well, that's a problem, because they get a
conjecture.
They get social service or penalty and stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, that's not my aim. I want my clients to be acquitted more than anything else. And that's a bad thing. 3 years ago, maybe people were really pissed off, and now they just think, I don't want and he,
Yeah. So now, what are the logistics for the for the 5 lads?
Well,
do they need to come back over here?
Yeah, well, that's what we advise, because if you have a good story, you should face the court and tell the court, listen, I didn't do this. And but maybe we have to hear more witnesses, because from what we've heard now, we know more names, and we want to hear this police. Yeah. Because in first instance, the court said, there was one police officer who said, that he was hit, and I asked him to be heard as a witness. But the court said, no, there's no need, because he didn't say anything about the suspect. Right. But now that I know who he is, he was away at this point of time, and the prosecutor says, I'm not sure if it's that person. In this case, the prosecutor really behaves like a suspect of big drugs cases would normally do. Just don't say anything themselves, but just fight anything they hear.
Do you think the Dutch legal system would like to see this case go away, or is it just that it will just go through the same slow process as other cases?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's just another case.
I think the police here had trouble with the case, but in general, the Court of Appeal, I mean, they deal with many murder cases and stuff. They're not so much worried about.
About 5 Celtic fans.
No, in the beginning, like when it happened in the court, when the speed trial, it was a case of high interest also for the court and for because there was so much media attention. But the Court of Appeal, how it is now, they don't mind. Yeah,
and there's no coverage over here. It's just
I've been called sometimes. Sometimes also the dodgy papers from Scotland sometimes call me.
Here's an exclusive. The dodgy papers from Scotland are in touch.
But I should have mentioned names. But the ones that. When you remember when I was in Glasgow and I was in the paper with stuff like that. Well, they call me.
Fantastic.
I thought it was really funny though. I tell my fellow lawyers. Anyways, yes. Cheers.
We've just had an exclusive. He's been contacted by the dodgy papers in Scotland.
You know what I mean, right?
Yes.
We think.
Well, I live in Ireland. I'm Scottish, but I live in Ireland.
Okay. Whereabouts?
Policing in Drogheda. It's near Dundalk. It's near the border.
Okay, yeah.
Policing in Ireland's not quite at the same level.
No.
It's a bit more laid back.
So what do you think will happen the next Celtic Ajax game? Well, I suppose we've had one since.
We had one.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a shame. And that whole Feyenoord thing.
So what's the update with the current state of policing and football and?
Well, there's lots of troubles, especially in Rotterdam. There was about 300 people arrested, and no one got prosecuted.
300 people arrested, no prosecution.
Yes. So at the end of the day, I was also doing a case with Vitesse Arnhem, where 70 supporters were arrested and only 15 got prosecuted. And you have 300 at Feyenoord, and at Ajax there were about 120, and it seems that they never get prosecuted. So at the end of the day,
what are they arrested? What's the charge?
Well, public violence in many cases, or disorder. And the Ajax was because they were in a clubhouse. They also wanted to demonstrate against something, and but they just arrest everyone. And so because in a whole year of football in the Netherlands, there's about 600 or 800 supporters arrested normally, and then so last year you had about 400 or 500 that we know from they were wrong already. So that says something. You have to realize, if you do criminal law as a lawyer, only about 7% of the people get acquitted. Right. So, but with football fans, it's much higher.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Is that good for your business or bad for your business? Because if there are no charges, you've nothing to defend.
Yes, but if
it's a ludicrous situation.
If you can do something, I mean, before that they call you, you go to the jail or to the police station, you meet them. You tell them what to do. Sometimes I make a bit of noise in the media, and so you can do something. And so football is it's good for me because you have to fight, but you can get people acquitted. Yeah. So it's much better than cases.
As a football fan yourself, was that what drew you to that?
Yeah, sort of. I mean,
Yeah, how did you start? How did you get into that? Into football?
Is that all you work on, or?
No. It's only 20-30%.
Okay.
I do all sorts of mortgage fraud, murders, drugs dealers, anything. Yeah, but and I
You'd
always
never believe it looking at it.
that's the best way.
Yeah,
best trick I do.
The babyface assassin. Ollie Solskjaer's got nothing on this guy.
It's Leo Sayer.
No, but the thing is that with football fans, there's really something to do. Because if the police, there's pressure on the police to arrest people. Because all the cameras are focused on the football. So if something goes wrong, and the police officer has to come to the camera and say at the end of the evening, there was lots of disorder and we didn't arrest anyone. They rather say we arrested 120 people, and by the time they get acquitted, no one follows the news anymore.
Yeah, because we believe a lot of the stuff in Scotland is the police have to sort of justify their budget and the money that's been given to them. So do you think that's part of how the policing is here in Amsterdam as well? Like this Romeo squad, for example, they need to have a reason to exist. So part of it is creating their own reason, if you know what I mean by that.
Yes, and I think they never. I mean, it's such a different to, for instance, music festivals, because there are music festivals in the Netherlands where over 100 people get arrested.
Yeah, same in Scotland. Yeah.
And then the police will always come out and say, this is a very small minority. It went really well. Yeah, we had a few minor incidents. Yeah, there's 7 million people visiting football games every year in the Netherlands.
Percentage-wise, it's completely off.
And it's changing now a bit, but not a lot. It's still in the common, but I'm not there to change. Although, I mean, if people ask me, I say something about it. But for me, I'm just working and I can't change this.
But you're happy to express a personal opinion?
No. Of course, I will. And it's funny.
It's fascinating to listen to.
Are there other football advocates?
No, in the Netherlands, not.
I was actually,
I was the first one to also come out with this and say I'm a lawyer of football fans, and also we have a lot of this is a bit probably different to Scotland. We have civil law football bans. So let's say if you buy a piece of wood in the DIY shop, you accept the general conditions. Well, if you buy a ticket as a football fan in the Netherlands, you accept the general conditions, and in these general conditions it says if I lit fireworks, I get a ban of 1.5 years and stuff like that. And by using this civil law, there's not a big burden of proof, because in the criminal law there's a bigger burden of proof. So that's why it's so easy to give foot. And Germany does the same though, giving football fans bans by civil law.
But might have to edit this in case it gives anybody any ideas in Scotland.
No, but there is a disadvantage for the authorities as well, because it's only civil law. So there's no way they can. It's not a crime. Well, it's a crime to actually go there, but it's what you call it when you go into, let's say, a shop or a house where you aren't allowed to.
Trespassing.
Yeah, it's only trespassing if you have a football ban and you still go. So, but it's a disadvantage as well for them, because
presumably our banning orders are civil.
No, I believe the administrative.
Right.
So you have administrative, civil, and criminal. And in Holland we have also administrative football bans, but they don't use them that often. So we have everything, and then still members of parliament say, we don't have enough things to battle football hooliganism. And I say, you have all the rules you have in Great Britain, all the rules you have in Germany, and in Holland we have both.
And they still don't have enough.
So there's and also the highest, we have an the highest court that advises the parliament and the ministers, and they said there's enough to use against football fans.
But you don't have, or do you have, any specific laws that where football fans can be arrested for crimes which other people can't be arrested for, similar to in Scotland?
We have something called the football law.
The football law?
Yeah, we have a football law, but it's basically, some of the things are in the criminal code, some of the things are in the administrative law, but it's about people that behave disorderly, and they could have a ban to be around a certain area. So that's for football fans. So they could say, oh, this person behaves disorderly twice. Now we say you're not allowed. But the funny thing is, it's really easy to use on youth that hangs around the supermarket and being annoying because they are disorderly every day.
So they use the football laws on them.
About 80% of the cases, when they use it, it's not against football fans.
It's against kids hanging around supermarkets.
It's a bit like
Again, that could be, an idea to be imported into Scotland. Hopefully not.
But it's really hard. But I think, as a bystander, I think the most important is that supporters unite and come together with all. Because I know politicians, they want to. Some of them, because they want votes, so they want to listen to something that's big. So and. In that perspective, I mean, I know one of the Labour Party that in Holland tried to speak to all sorts of supporters, but he got really annoyed because you have to go to every city all the time. He said, if I had one group that has a very clear view, I would listen to that and I would bring it in Parliament. But
well, you could argue we have similar. I know the Fans Against Criminalisation tries to bring.
Yes, I follow this.
They try to bring fans together, and I thought one of the most significant things they did was when they changed their logo from the green and white scarf through the bars in the cell, and then they introduced a bit of maroon, they introduced a bit of amber, they introduced a bit of red, and finally they introduced a bit of blue. And I thought that was important, and they get Rangers fans contacting them as well. And the Football Act in Scotland targets all football fans, but what unites us also divides us. We may be united as football fans, but it's the very fact that we support a club, which divides us too. So would you get Ajax fans sitting in the same room as Feyenoord fans?
Well, with there's been troubles because this is the third time there's a sort of union. And the second time it went wrong over Ajax and Feyenoord, and it goes wrong many times about that. Right, but I believe that now it goes quite well, but I don't know that much. Right. But I think for let's say the older fans as us, we should be able to step over this. Okay, if you're 20 or 16 and stuff, okay, but if you're getting a bit older, that's what I believe. But
And do you get contact from lawyers in other countries, not just Scotland?
Yes.
In other countries contact you for advice, just to
and also for
opinion?
People. No, and people get arrested. I go, yes, hello, this is Giacomo from Milano. 50 of my fans are arrested. Can you help me? And I call the police. I say, I'm their lawyer, and then they directly, they have a lawyer because they just with football fans in other countries. I mean,
but not just any lawyer. The football lawyer.
No, but in general, they don't care about human rights so much with football fans, but football fans in another country, they don't care because there's no lawyer, there's no, so it's even harsher, and so if they hear okay, but wait a minute, without a title, a legal title, you're arresting 50 people and you're moving them in a bus. Here's their lawyer, and they, we leave them before the game. They're allowed to be free again.
I need to get your card in case I'm arrested at a United game in Ireland.
And then you call Italy and they think you paid money or something. And the lawyer says, fantastic.
So there's a possible expansion of your empire, international football lawyer.
No, well,
it's there already.
Yeah, it's there already, and it's really funny sometimes. I've been 5 years ago. There were people of Ajax arrested in Nuremberg. And now a year ago there were fans of Nuremberg arrested in a fight in a beach resort somewhere here in Holland, and they called their lawyer in Germany and call Christian Visser.
That's brilliant.
No, but it's also good because with FSE, Football Supporters Europe, it's not completed yet, but all the lawyers filled out some questions. Okay, what happens if you have firework? What happens? And we made the form in English in their own language. And now sometimes if fans travel, I put on the side, all fans that travel to Italy should read this. I say, and the number of the Italian lawyer, and say if you're into trouble, and I call them and say, listen, these fans travel, and I don't know if something happens, but so we can help each other. And that's it. It's not always working, but it works.
Some of the time. So do you?
But I put it for Celtic fans the second time when they traveled here. I put Celtic fans that traveled there should read this. And we had 7,000 views on our website. On our
that's the power of it, isn't it? That's the power of social media.
Yeah.
7,000 people knowing
no
where
one
to get
got
help
arrested,
if they needed it, and no one will.
Well,
but isn't that the role of authorities too?
Yes.
We're here because there was no prevention. We're talking about this 3 years later because there was no prevention that night.
Yeah.
It was all about the iron fist rather than anything else.
Yes.
But the next year he proved that actually with a bit of communication with people, you can prevent things happening.
Definitely.
Actually, social media is massive in this because if it wasn't for social media, they probably wouldn't have any sort of defence in these cases, because social media is where you get the word out. It's where fans find. It's like when people hear this is where the majority of Celtic fans are going to get this information via social media.
Yes.
And there were people who were contactable and were contacted through social media, without naming any names, from other clubs who sent information which was really, really valuable.
Yeah.
But they were only contactable through, so they would just be completely impossible to find. Back to Kojak and the needle in a haystack, you couldn't find them now.
No, but that's the thing. Some authorities think that football supporters all know each other, but at the end of the day, that's not the case. If you go with a few friends, if you go longer, those friends know a few friends, and you know a few friends, and at the end of the day, everybody knows each other. But the most people you see, you don't know. Or maybe I had one guy who worked at the Ajax. He said, at the Ajax I know about 470 how are yous. It just walks by. Great, No, but it's great to see if you see Celtic and that there are many people traveling with families and kids and stuff.
It's great,
if you see Ajax, it's much more like boys between 18. That's why, it's.
Well, I think one of the important things is that there are a number of different groups. You'll always get the young lads who want to travel, 16 to 22, they want to travel with their friends, they don't want to be seen with their dads or their mums, they don't want to go in the family group, and that's fine. And then you have the older guys who want to go with the guys they've always travelled with, and coming over on the plane today, there were loads of guys there with their wives or their partners.
Yeah.
So there's different demographics. So I suppose one of the things that football and the authorities should do is to meet the needs of all of them. But it seems at the moment as they treat them all as a potential threat. Even the groups of the guys, as we saw in some of the people who were arrested, the guys who were over 50, they were assaulted. They were as much as a threat as the young guys.
Yeah, but it's also because I think the Dutch police didn't realize what people are traveling with something, because
the numbers.
And also.
Plus, they're only used to having that sort of one demographic here, really, is it?
Yeah, because with Ajax is mostly it happens, but there's hardly any females, hardly any families, hardly. So it's you approach that differently, and if you keep that together, I believe there's less misbehavior, because being like really. Playing hooligan if you're 23, you're not going to do that if next to you is a family. Although the other side of that is that they talk about football as a family game. And I don't think it's ever been a family game, and families should be at football, but that doesn't mean that it's entirely a family game. It's not it's full of passion, it's full of noise, it's full of colour. It's not a picnic.
It's not American sports.
No.
It's not American sports. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, yeah, because your behaviour would change, wouldn't it?